You're watching News Channel 8, winner of more Edward R. Murrow Awards than any other Bay Area television station, including Best Newscast.
When Florida motorists get too many tickets, drive drunk, or commit serious traffic crimes, they lose their license, sometimes for life. But if you think a lifetime revocation means they'll never drive again, well, this is where you're in for a surprise. 8 on Your Side investigator Mark Douglas discovered that thousands of bad drivers end up right behind the wheel again in practically no time.
5 years ago, Fred Nassif lost his driver's license for life. A judge permanently revoked it after Nassif accidentally killed motorcyclist Jeff Miranda, sped away, and later denied involvement.
He took my brother's life, my daughter's uncle, my nephew and niece's dad.
The victim's sister and brother are stunned to see pictures of Fred Nassif behind the wheel again.
I think the only thing that they did insist on is he don't drive anymore, and obviously he did.
Fred Nassif got his license back after a series of government blunders and legal maneuvers. His first break came on the day of his conviction inside a courtroom here at the Pinellas Justice Center. In a sworn statement, a psychiatrist said that Nassif suffered from depression and showed signs of dementia, possibly even Alzheimer's. The victim's family said they wouldn't push for jail time as long as Fred Nassif stopped driving.
The deal was he was not to drive the rest of his life. Period.
But records show the Department of Motor Vehicles blundered, revoking Nassif's license for a period of 1 year instead of life, as the judge ordered.
Well, we made a mistake. We deal with more than 14 million drivers, and in this case, there was an error made.
The DMV didn't catch its mistake until last summer, 5 months after Nassif crashed into a produce truck on the Clearwater roundabout, and police ticketed him for careless driving.
That, too, was an error.
The DMV revoked his license again, but Nassif convinced a judge to let him ask DMV for a hardship license based on his wife's health. At his DMV hearing, Nassif presented a doctor's note saying he no longer had signs of Alzheimer's. A second doctor's note said restoring Nassif's right to drive would help reduce his wife's blood pressure, and stress reduction was part of her treatment plan. The DMV hearing officer gave Nassif a license for business purposes only, which means anything but pleasure driving.
The examiners may take into consideration the degree to which hardship would be inflicted, not just upon the person being punished by having his driving privileges restricted, but upon other people.
Over the course of a recent week, we saw Nassif driving his wife once to a wellness center. We also watched her driving him 3 times and her driving alone twice, running to a bank and a jewelry store. Last Wednesday, Nassif drove himself to a wellness center, then stopped to buy flowers.
He just seems to be a prime example that the system did not work. And it needs to change. It really does.
So how does the system work? Well, during the last half of last year, more than 5,000 Bay Area drivers, including Fred Nassif, applied for hardship licenses. And in almost 9 out of 10 cases, they got one.
For business purposes only.
It happens time after time at DMV hearings like this one. Drivers explain their hardship, say they've improved, and almost always end up with a license. At Louis Martinez's hearing, we counted 2 DUIs and 27 other violations on his record.
3-point conviction for careless improper driving, January.
In the end, Martinez gets a hardship license.
Communication with health.
If you'll raise your right hand, please.
Another driver is former Judge David Patterson, caught behind the wheel with 3 times the legal limit of alcohol in his blood.
Are you aware of the consequences of a second DUI?
Oh, I'm quite yes, I went through DUI school.
Patterson wanted a hardship license to practice law, and he got one too.
People need to earn a living and or go about their lives, getting food and other things.
That's how Fred Nassif ended up with a license again. Under the Florida system, almost no one drives away empty-handed. I'm Mark Douglas, News Channel 8.
Fred and Janet Nassif declined comment for our story. Their lawyer says they feel deep remorse for the death of Jeff Miranda. Miranda's family says Nassif has never apologized.
Tough. A cool and comfortable day in the Bay Area. We'll check in with Steve Jervy next.
And then later on in tonight's 8 on Your Side medical report, a breakthrough in the treatment of breast cancer.